What up, everyone? This is Mr. Lord Dr. Professor Dark Joker here with another edition of Traditional Fans with Opinions, where I'll give my reviews for whoever I watched, read, or played today. And who are traditional fans with opinions? That is myself, and that is you, the viewers. With all that being said, on with the reviews. One Piece, episodes 1150.5 through 1152. So, obviously 1150.5. It's a special. It's a recap special. Basically, now it does it differently. So you have Carrot and Bartolomeo, doing answering trivia questions about Vegapunk's message. Basically, Chopper is like abducted, and basically have to answer all the questions right, or the free Chopper. And they listen to different parts of the message, and they get the question. They get the questions right, basically. There's like carrot like random crap happens, like random people come in and carrots really get the question right, and so, it's kind of funny how they do it. So yeah, that was a decent one. So now for the actual episode. So obviously with Vegapunk's message being interrupted, everyone's confused like what the frick's going on. Like some are blaming the government, some are blaming Luffy due to the fact that the government accused him of holding Vegapunk hostage. So now the only like Vegapunks left that are connected to Punk Records are Lilith and Atlas. So they try to kill them. You know, basically, so you have Luffy, Dory, Broggy, and Bonnie are fighting the Marine and the Five Elders. So Luffy gets back into fifth gear, and basically how he fights Mars inspires Bonnie to use like a distorted future form to like turn herself to a Nika like figure and like help and basically help fight the five elders. And so yeah, so then Vegapunk's broadcast gets back on, and basically York tells the five elders that the snail must be destroyed. So Jupiter and Workery uh they start trying to attack, like they attack the rope Emmet the Iron Giant, which gets up and fights and attacks and stops Workery. So then you see Emmet fighting the five elders, and it talks to Luffy, calling him Joy Boy. Luffy doesn't know. He's like, "Who you talking to?" And so Luffy doesn't understand about Joy Boy Nika. He doesn't understand that whole bit. Like you have the Giants calling him Nika, Bonnie calling him Nika. So Luffy doesn't understand like what's going on. Like he won't for a while. Like in the manga, he still doesn't know. Now, basically, obviously the fight, and so Bonnie gets back into her like Nika-esque form, and starts helping the fight. So, and Atlas sacrifices herself after cutting Lilith off from the rest of Vegapunks. Atlas sacrifices herself to stop Nostro from attacking the Thousand Sunny. And so, yeah, so basically, all the Vegapunks are dead. Like, so, yeah, now we, and basically, Emmet remembers Joy Boy talking, he has a conversation with Joy Boy. So that's setting up, Emmet doing some really big hockey attack. So yeah, I really like these episodes, basically we're getting close to the end of Egghead. Like we are getting close. Like I don't know how many episodes what we have left. I don't know how many, but this is gonna be the end of the you know the release model, the old model of basically little to no breaks, and I just keep going until you're done. Which One Piece is famously done for years. One of the last few to do it. Of course, that's something that's stopped for a while because of for a lot of series because basically there was so much filler. People hated filler. That's why. So yeah, I really like these episodes. Looking forward to the next one. One Piece chapters 1166 through 1168. So in these chapters, you have the so basically Rock says the curse on him is worn off. Garp and Roger basically worn out. So you see Garling and some of the other God Knights appear. Garling basically delivers the final blow that kills Rock. So then you have Scopper Gabon and Rayleigh they take Roger and Garp out of away from the battlefield. Basically, the island's like collapsing, crashing into the sea because of how big the battle is. So everyone recovers, and then so also they show like where Roger's crew celebrating treasure, and then basically they open one treasure that's moving. They see baby Shanks, and basically everyone's reacting to the basically the Rocks pirates basically disbanding with Rocks being dead, all the pirates basically evacuating, and then Garp's pissed about being portrayed as a hero after what happened, and then basically yeah, and so basically Sengoku says basically with how big the government is, basically people above him are doing something bad. He's able to like look the other way because he's not able to be aware of anything. And Garp's mad because basically yeah, so basically Garp doesn't like it, and so basically accuses Sengoku of being focused on climb, basically just caring about climbing the ladder. And he tells Sengoku if he turns out like the people above, like basically the people above him, that he's gonna kill him. And Sengoku asks if Garp's quitting. Garp says no because he wants to protect those at the bottom. Basically, like the rank and file soldiers. And so you see a flashback of a conversation Rox and Loki have. Uh, so Loki calls Rox Nika, explain to his the the warrior liberation. Rox says that he's more like the king of the gonna be king of the world. And then basically if anyone has the power of a liberator, like the warrior liberator, it's probably Herald. And basically, Rock says there's some bunch of destroyers somewhere in the world called Galila, and then basically, so obviously, Rox was wanting to team up with Herald to like take over the world, and then basically, so Herald is attacking like a giant that's attacking humans, saying, "Hey, you're making things bad for everyone else." The giant promises to not pillage humans again. Basically says, "Hey, we want I want to make peace with humans. People like giants are why we can't." And then, but then, he's sad about the death of Rocks. So and dragons in prison, and dragons tells Garp that he's quitting the navy and basically that he hates him. And so Garp, I guess tosses the key into into Dragon's cell, and so yeah, so basically Harald leaves and tells Loki and Hodgkin he wants them to work together while he's gone. And so he arrives at Marineford and he asks to hear. He rips out his horns. Everyone's like, "What?" And he asks for a chance to atone for like 1,000 years of giant history. He basically wants to atone for all stuff giants done. And he says, "Hey, if he even has to be a slave, he'll do that." And you see Emu interested, and so that leads to Harald joining the God Knights. And basically you hear there's like rumors of a giant, some giant creature attacking pirates, and basically it's Harald. And so Harald joined the God Knights, and meanwhile you had like Kaido, Whitebeard, and Big Mom were forming their own crews, becoming major powers. They were claiming territories, and you had the Raja pirates. They showed basically they found the One Piece, learned the truth of the world, and then you had the Great Pirate era starting. Basically, he's asked to join. He basically he gets a Shallows covenant. So basically, he gets a mark of a devoted blade. Basically, there's three. So he has the Shallows covenant, first one. Then you have the Death covenant and Abyssal covenant. And then basically he's told that the Death covenant are reserved 13 exclusive members who can enter a covenant with the true God. And Harald's like, wait, what's this God you speak of? Basically, the father is telling him that if he day comes that he is made a proper, that then he'll know the truth about the world. And Harald's like, is that what being the LF will join the government? And basically, he's told yes. And so, and then basically, so while this, so Harald's joined, God Knights, he's adamant that he's willing to follow orders. And then it's shown that he's also friends with Neptune, and they talk about potentially, I guess, Shirahoshi and Loki, I guess, arranged marriage. Well, they're kind of joking, due to because of partly their Shirahoshi prophesied be the Poseidon, which she is, and then yeah, so Saul is forming the school on Elbaf, and then yeah, so then you had they show the Fisher Tiger, escaping like the sacking of Barry Joa, where a bunch of slaves were freed. Fisher Tiger escape. So Fisher comes across a God Knight. They don't reveal who it is, and the God Knight tells them they left the army unlocked and tells them how to get there. Then you see, obviously, Boa Hancock and her two sisters escaping, and so it's and basically, so one thing that happens is you have Shank. They show Shank as a member of the God Knights. So, but he's at the same level that Harald's at, and then basically then Shanks he's in this he's acting like your typical celestial dragon, a smug prick who thinks he's better than everyone else, and so basically, so you like he claims he hated everyone down there, but we know he didn't. So like the way things are done, it's like it's implied that he was the one who helped Fisher Tiger escape. And then you have Ida sick, and basically she's about to die. Like Loki's sad about it, and Loki learns that so Hadrian's trying to find a doctor for Ida. He's sailing around, and Loki learns that this village that hated Ida due to her lineage, um, poisoned her so that Harald wouldn't marry her, nor they guess keep the bloodline pure. So Loki then burnt, then like basically burns that village to the ground, and he says that Ida's his only mother, and so Ida dies. Yeah, so and yeah, so the Giants, obviously you have Sabor joining the Navy. You have basically things are going well for the Giants. He's doing well. Harald's being a faithful God Knight, and if he feels like that, Harald feels like the things might finally go his way. That the Giants will actually be able to join world government and join and make peace with everyone. And then, yeah, so and Loki's in a cell for I guess burning the village, and Shanks is missing. Like Shanks is missing for some reason. This is like, and so yeah, and basically, apparently he was going to be made a full-fledged knight, so the second level. And so since Harald's the backup, it's his turn to get that, and Harald says he's willing to. And then, and then basically, basically, 5 hours tell him that Harald will be known as the king who changed Elbaf's history. And Harald says he wants to, basically once Harald Elbaf fans will know, he wants to give up the throne, let someone younger and basically less tainted, I guess, by Elbaf's history be new king. And then Emu sits on the throne saying that's for him to decide. Harald's like, wait, why someone on the empty throne? And then Harald basically goes through that covenant, and like basically his strength increases. He's immortal, and then basically he's tied to, and Emu tells him to create an abyss on Elbaf. And once that's done, basically Elbaf will join the world government. So he returns, and Emu communicates telling him to use the country Elbaf to form an army, basically a giant army of warriors. And basically, and Harald says, wait, he says he didn't want to do because he's been trying to get Elbaf away from fighting, even though he wants those who have enlisted David to do so if they want to. Everyone's concerned about what he's doing, and Emu says basically he's a slave. He got all that power in exchange. He Harald can't disobey him, and basically Harald starts being controlled, and he realizes Emu had no intention of bringing Elbaf into the government, so he calls the guards, tells them to tie use chains to tie him to the pillar and get Jarul and Hadrian and Loki back. And then, and basically everyone's like, Hadrian's at sea and Loki's in a cell. He's like, release Loki. So Loki and Jarul, they're summoned to the palace, and this is when we catch up to the beginning of the flashback, where where we saw Jarul and Loki walking into the palace. We're finally caught back up to it. So yeah, so uh, yeah, so then yeah, it looks like we're on a hiatus for next week. So there's a break, which makes sense. I kind of expected we would have a break at this point. You know, leading up to the end of like with it's like okay, once we get to the back to what was that the death of Harald, whatever incident, we were gonna get a break before showing what happened. And yeah, so I really like these chapters. They built up Harald explaining what the frick happened after Rocks, like setting up like what's going on with Harald. What now we're gonna see his death pretty soon. 'Cause obviously there's now some questions with Shanks. like him being a god knight and going back to being a pirate. Okay, what happened? Some theories are, and I agree that Shanks joined the God Knights to get intel on the human fruit Nika or about Emu. Basically, that possibly Roger told Shanks some stuff, and Shanks took upon himself to, like, I guess, prepare for the time to come, because you're the Roger Pirates. I mean, Buggy and Shanks were the only members to not go to Laughtail. Everyone else went there. So, and so basically, whatever ever happened there, it's possible Roger told Shanks what happened, what's there. Like, Shanks might know about what the One Piece actually is. He may not know where it's at, but he may know what it is and about Emu now. So Shanks has his own plans. Like, who knows what all he's setting up. Like, this could be all very interesting. So yeah, I really like these chapters. Looking forward to the next one. The Elusive Samurai chapters 228 through 230. So this starts out, Takaji's grandfather Itoki killed himself and basically, you know, did some incantation saying for 3 generations his descendant will seize power. And so you see, like, basically there's a lot of issues with like, there's Takaji's father went crazy. Then, like, his brother Tayoshi, like, basically had some issues. So you see Takaji becoming you know, being filled with, like, divine power. So you see some of his backstory, and then basically, like, so then yeah, so and he absorbs the curse of the Ashikaga, and then you see basically then yeah, so you see some of his backstory. You see how he took over the Ashikaga clan, and then yeah, and basically, and so it seems that Tokiyuki woke him up from the nightmare of being under that god's control. So now, so Takaji is more at peace now, and he looks older. Like, you see, he looks like there's some gray in his hair. So now, like, he is trying to rule, and basically, and 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 so basically he's preparing for, I guess, his final confrontation with Tokiyuki, and then you have where Tokiyuki and basically everyone had. So you see how everyone has starting to have kids. So Tokiyuki and each of his wives, there's one kid each, and for each wife, and then and there's a whole funny bit of there's just some funny of Kojiro and, like, and Ben Tokyo competing over, like, which kids bet, like, because Kojiro has a kid with Shima, and then and basically, like, he has he has one kid while his Tokyo has three, one with each wife, and basically they compete whose kid's cooler, and it's just funny. And then and like basically they each dote on their own kids, and and then it's revealed that Tokyo's three wives that either pregnant again. So And so basically, and then they're still preparing for for the next battle against Takaji. And I guess they're more Takaji and Tokyo are each more at peace with what's happening next. And then yeah, so you know, and then basically so it's going on. So then while it's going, there's a whole deal about there's like a whole thing about how the Hojo could have a lot of descendants in many clans because basically Tokyo apparently had a lot of descendants, and so while this is going on, so he's seeing how all of his retainers, all his subordinates, they're gain land, trying to make lives for themselves. Then there's a whole deal about so Toki has some illness, or whatever, that was afflicted with when he, I guess, was hit by that evil energy from his last fight against Takaji, and then basically it's shown that he will die soon. He's gonna die soon, and basically he believes that the elusive warrior, or they know about, they're just pretending not to notice. Basically, and so and then yeah, so a like there was a lot of like Hojo, remember leaders of Hojo clan who had very short lifespans, and then so basically, so Toki says instead of killing himself, he wants to live his life to the fullest until he dies. And so then the in May 1351, the final battle is about to start. So yeah, we are getting to the end. We are getting very close to the end. So Toki is going to die soon, and in history, he gets killed. That is how history happens. He dies. He like basically Takaji wins in history. That is how it happens. Now the way they've done this, there's probably gonna be more at peace with that, both of them. Of course, Takaji will die eventually, and then so yeah, I really like these chapters. Looking forward to the next one. Kagurabachi chapters 102 to 104. So in these chapters, you have Chiro and Samura fighting Yura, and then so basically to stop the Swordmaster from returning. So basically during the battle, you also have people, civilians are having to be evacuated, and then and yeah, so you see everyone showing off their powers, preparing to fighting, and then yeah, so Yura, obviously his motivation has to do with, I guess, like his past from she was trying to get everyone out, like evacuate everyone while Samura and Chiro focus on fighting. And but dude, it's still like like you see all this power being displayed. Like it is insane the amount of power being displayed. And then so like yeah, so basically Yura's burning up, like due to, I guess, overuse of his power. So you see some of his backstory. So if, with the war ending, and basically yours burning up, and then so it's really that his home was affected by the war, like And then so while yours burning up, you see how what his motivations were. And then basically he wants to just yours trying to justify his own actions. Chiro tells him that basically the Hishaku is responsible for everything. Why things got bad. And then basically yours says that the world's not any different from when the when the Hishaku started doing their stuff. That the Zaichi was in effect a lot longer than that. And then yeah, so basically so basically a lot. So the Kaminami could not do as much, to protect the defenseless, and and basically he said that it was Chiro's father is the one responsible for everything. And then you see he burns up, so it's like he's and like basically he like gets consumed. So Yora's body is like devoured of like by the sword. And then so yeah, so you see Chiro does an attack to prevent Yor from being absorbed, so then Yor burns up. Then the sword master gets up and he tells Yor to hand his body over to him. So you see the sword you see Yor's body start getting covered in flowers, and the sword start to be unsheathed. So the sword master is ready to fight. So it looks like Chiro's about to fight the sword master. That's gonna be interesting. So yeah, they're saying up the sword master is like potentially the final villain. Like it's potential what we're getting here. So I like these chapters, like how they set up, like the sword master dealt with Yura. Obviously gained Samura and Chiro back in. That was good. So yeah, I really like these chapters. Looking forward to the next one. Ultimate Exorcist Kiyoshi chapters 70 through 72. So in these chapters, so the Exorcist they start preparing to fight Beelzebub's children. You fight Lulu and Gaga, and so yeah, so Shishido fights Gaga, and then fights Lulu, and then Gaga apparently is going to start the invasion to Ross territory by himself. Early before what was expected. So Shishido tells the Irish to go after Gaga while he deals with Lulu, and then yeah, so basically you see them fighting. You see someone named Hydrico try and protect us through the Ross territory, and so basically Kiyoshi's wearing Suaross hood whatever. So let's fight Hydrica, who's really into Asuaroth. Thinks for a little bit that Kiyoshi is Roth, and then yeah, so basically yeah, so then it's funny. So Hydricos believes that he's Suaroth, and that when he says he wants to help protect all the demons there, that he was saying he wants to be with her. It's so funny. So Hydrico's like, all right. And so yeah, so basically what's going on? So now you see the demon that Kiyoshi saved in the that first chapter. Basically basically he saved Kiyoshi saves him by defeat the demon, and he comes across him and realizes that it's after wiping out Goggles, he sees him and he's like, wait, what? Like he sees that it's basically that demon, and then and basically so while he's passed out, the family of that demon saves him, saves Kiyoshi, gets him to his house, and then they reunite, and then basically they talk about having so all the other exorcists are there, so everyone recovers from the fight. And so Yamada, so yes, yeah, Mr. Yamada is that demon's name. So basically, so they talk about what's going on. So all the other Sudaroth people, like they all rise reinforcements to help, and so the enemy has been kind of dealt with, so things are a little under control. But they're having to deal with it. So Shishido's still fighting Lulu. He absorbs some poison, but he's able to like use his power to I guess deal with it. So now yeah, so then all this going on, and then so it looks like based on how the chapter ends, they're gonna show more Shishido's fight with Lulu, see how they're doing because it looks like it could be a very interesting fight. So yeah, I really like these chapters. Looking forward to the next one. Ichi the Witch, chapters 60 through 62. So these chapters, yeah, so Hitsugi, arrives, he and Kizoshi are preparing to fight Chrono and and Descaris. And then Hitsugi asks Chrono what he thinks of the humans, like even though they don't live long and they're weaker, generally weaker than magics. He asks why Chrono fell for one. And basically says that if he joined World Hater, that could maybe convince to let Chrono's human wife be alive, stay alive. Chrono refuses, saying that like he even though he could freeze his wife's time, like he could freeze Minnie, but that it could affect the kid, and that basically Minnie wants to live a normal life as a human, and basically Chrono says that he learned that humans feel love more and magic's due to, I guess, how short their lives are. So yeah, but basically then when that happens, he then like Chrono very easily turns Hitsugi to dust. Now Hitsugi like recovers. Yeah, like he recovers pretty well. So and Hitsugi tells Kizashi to find Minnie and kill her and the baby, and to kill Ichi. Since if he dies, all the magics he's acquired will be released. So Urura would apparently probably be happy for that. And so, yeah, so that's interesting. So that if the witch dies, the magics that were captured are released. So Hitsugi like so gives Hizashi one of Lord World Hater's like weapons, like the Sakujo staff, Shinosura. And so yeah, that's gonna be a very powerful thing. And so Chrono goes at Chrome Weaver goes after Kizashi, and while Descaras fights, Hitsuge's revealed to be the reverser magic, and basically his trial is 10,000 is to give him 10,000 deaths, and so he resurrects 10,000 zombies. Basically, if Descaras kills them all the zombies, his trial will be passed. And so she starts going through a bunch of them. And then, yeah, so basically, yeah, so one of the things about the Magic's trials is it has to do with how they feel about humans, like the difficulties thrown by that. So if they're friendlier, their trials are easier, but the more they hate humans, the harder they are. And if you get all the way down to human hairs, basically the trials are very un very much difficult. That basically because the magics are trying not to be required, and basically it's like a dark thing. So one of these like chapters ends with the word "big sister," hinting at something possibly happened involving Descaras, like her I guess a sibling that may have died or something. So then you have so Gokuraku's piloting like the comments and stuff, while you know and Kizashi and is being chased by Chrome River, so you see their fight. And you have obviously all the deaths. So like basically, amount of times Kiyoshi has to be killed in order to be acquired, and then basically so Kuru just keeps attacking him. So Kiyoshi does this some attack. There's like a thing called Gamma Blowout. Summons a bunch of replicas of himself, and so Ichi's still passed out. So Gokuraku says it's time for him to punch the octopus, referring to Kizashi. So it looks like he's ready to fight. So it's gonna be interesting. So looks like they're having to do small fights before I guess Ichi wakes up and acquires Kizashi. So yeah. So yeah, I really like these chapters, like these battles that they're doing. This has been a cool arc. Really like this one. Looking for these chapters. Looking forward to the next chapter. Oh, they're the Flame chapters 28 through 30. So in these chapters, so you see Oder's backstory with his sister, Santa. So basically, hard life, trying to like make do with what little they had. How like the legs of one of of a chair had to be used as firewood, and so you see like yeah. So Oder's hands were burned, so he was trying to recover. And so yeah, so then basically, so that he dreamed of being a warrior, he didn't have anything until like Philgia, you know, basically I guess merged with him, whatever. And so he convinces Philgia to basically Philgia says that that's why she's afraid of burning everything down. And so you see like yes, Oder's body burning on the outside. And so Oder tells Philgia that he'll handle it, and that basically he convinces her to basically work with him again so that they can fight, defend the elves. So she agrees, and he's in like his like basically a demigod form. So then he starts fighting, and so you see, and so also you start to fight the ice kingdom forces. So, Kutin's using the wind spirit to help fight. And then, yeah, so basically, yeah, so what did then, during all there's fights, I see Kutin fighting, fighting, the water spirit and, the ice demon who has her that spirit. And so you see all them fighting. So yeah, so Oda arrives to help Kutin, and then starts fighting the water spirit and its owner. Yeah, so then so you have water versus fire, classic matchup. So yeah, so this is it's an interesting. So Oda's while fighting, he's also trying to talk to the demon, and then yeah, so basically basically says he wants to understand his enemies, but he'll still fight her. And so Kutin shoots an arrow at it shoots something towards Oda or catches like a sword, like an ember sword. And so it was like the next stage of the fight's about to happen, so I'm interested in this. So yeah, I really like these chapters, like how they're showing they prepared Oder's fight, then show him fighting the water spirit. So yeah, it's gonna be a big battle. So yeah, I really like these chapters. Looking forward to the next one. Harukaze Mound chapters 23 through 25. So this one, the East West Tokyo tournament is starting. You know, and so Hina Zakura, you know, they basically, basically they're being underestimated. And so Nagara says, that hey, if no one expects much from them, that's easier to play. And so yeah, and so he says he's nervous because he's always a relief pitcher. So this first time he's had number one, which is a number for like basically an ace. And so they start their game, against Kinugasa, and they start doing really well. And basically after like an error, like where one play Wakamori runs the wrong direction due to like having to run that way in in drills, he screwed up. And so he's out, but then once that error's gone, basically I guess everyone's nerves are done, so they start playing better. And then, they win. They utterly destroy Kinagusa. So then they start preparing to play their then their next opponent is Suzon, where May, who's Ibuki's former teammate, um, plays for. And so yeah, so basically May's looking forward to basically destroying Ibuki's team when he likes wrecking people's dreams. And so yeah, so then they start practicing, looking at all the different players for their opponents. So then the game starts, and then you see how Suzon pitches, tries to basically demoralize people, and so Ibuki gets out, and then So Nagiharu pitches, and basically it's real that they had been practicing to deal with Nagiharu's southpaw, like left-hand pitches, like submarine pitches. So they were preparing. So now he's about to go against Nagiharu is about to go against Moko Nigoritani, who's like basically one of the most dangerous batters on that team. And so yeah, so there's the chap. So the last of these three, chapter 25 ends with the that bat that basically basically that guy starting the bat. So yeah, it looks like that will be a major part of the next chapter. So yeah, I really like these chapters, like the baseball they're showing it. Like, dude, the guy writing that was freaking funny. And so we're seeing all this tournament, probably the first big tournament they're gonna do. Like, 'cause I imagine they're if this is gonna be a long form series, they're gonna end it probably, with Koshin or right before, I guess, like they're probably ending it with Koshin, like the final tournament. So I'm interested in see how this goes, how this tournament goes, how they do against Sujan. That should be interesting. So yeah, I really like these chapters. Looking forward to the next one. Gachiakuta episodes 20 through 22. So in these episodes, so you have this giant cyclone going on outside, around the trash beast that everyone's inside. So the trash beast is going up to the sphere. So basically, Boondis confronts, who's a raider, confronts Bro and Deer, and basically the ground gives way, and basically those three they basically end up near this, you know, more inside of the trash beast. So they come across Engine and Fu, and so Bro says they must get out. Basically, they need to get out before the trash beast gets to the sphere, or else everyone's gonna die. So Deer contacts, Simu using his choker, and so that they can find a way out of there, so they could get rescued. And so Zodal's still trying to recruit Rudo. Rudo refuses, and basically he wants to stay with the cleaners. And I want to trust Zodal either. And so basically, so then then you have and basically Zol's going after Rudo, trying to figure out where everyone else is. An engine comes up through the ground, so then basically engine helps Rudo, and then so you see Bundis assumes that engine knows where basically everyone's at, which he's correct about. So basically, Dear Bro Rio get there, and Rio's carrying Zanka, who's still unconscious. Gouda is basically he's incapacitated. So and Engine asks Rio if she killed anyone. Rio says no, and Rio, nervous about the question, drops Zanka. Luckily, he's unconscious, so it's not like he felt the pain. So the trash piece is, you know, flying closer to the sphere. The chamber alters a little bit, so Rudo grabs the nail gun, turns it into basically a very powerful violent instrument, and fires at and shoots it. But Boondis tries to block it using his mechanical arms, which serve as like his like vital instrument. And so Boondis fights off all the cleaners that are there. And so Rudo uses all of his 3R power to through the nail gun through it to transform a nail gun, and he basically turns like a freaking cannon in a sense. And so Boone's hands get shattered after the second like nail, and the trash beast core is not hit, but then the nail gun disintegrates with Ryu having used all his energy through it, and nowhere it appears. Basically, she's like gone freaking insane. Basically, she's pissed at Rio, and so Zodal leaves. So then, the cleaners have to fight Noerd. They're able to defeat her, and then while Zodal leaves, they get out. Like Noerd sees the something with the like with the outside like at the border. So he sees this like freaking creature. Like there's like a freak and like there's like a freaking creature at the border, which I guess you can say is why people die when they go to the sphere. And Nowhere sees it. Like when she's beaten, she's on the outside. She sees it. She says it's the Watchman, and before she's like I guess killed, whatever, or possibly killed. So it's like, what the frick? So yeah, that is like a very interesting to say up because obviously that thing could be tied to the mystery of the Watchmen series. There's a whole lot of stuff. So also you have and you have and you have there's like Gouda who's a member of the Raiders. Who's a cleaner. Well, no, Gouda's a cleaner. Basically transfers to something in order to you know block the hole, and everyone's able to escape. And so the trash beast is they're able to everyone's able to, the cleaners are able to destroy the core, and then they say like they're able to destroy trash beast, and they try to figure out how to get back, and then like back to their headquarters. And so yeah, so then you have the, right now then right now we have so Amo is still missing in this one, which I knew. I've read the manga. I knew that almost was. Here's the thing: Amo's not gonna be found until season. If we get a season two, Amo's not gonna be found until season two. I'll just straight up say it. She's not gonna be found until season two. Like, so yeah, so there's definitely a lot of stuff being set up. So yeah, so there's still a lot of things we're trying to deal with. Like I don't know how much to the information broker arc they're going to get into this season, if they're going to get into it. So they could get into some because that is the next arc in the manga. And so, well, you have Heritage Mural, then Information Broker, but Information would be the next really big one. So if what's going to be interesting how they set up the rest of this series, like how they set up season two after with the end of this with the Trash Beast basically destroyed. So yeah, so that's gonna be very interesting how they arrange because a lot of people who haven't read the manga will be like, "What the frick's up with Alma? Why is she still missing?" Well, you know, good question. And based on what I've seen with like how many chapters, so I think Heritage Mural's the next one, next arc. That's like 9 chapters. If they finished all all chapters for like the Trash Beast, like Trash Storm arc, they're then basically like yeah, it's they're gonna be doing Heritage Mural to finish out this season. That's essentially what it is. They're finishing out Heritage Mural. And then if we get a season 2, we will deal with Information Broker. And that will be awesome. Like, I'm looking forward to the next arc. And I'm looking forward to the next season. So yeah, I really like these episodes. Looking forward to the next one. Jujutsu Kaisen Modulo chapters 12 through 14. So these chapters, you have to deal with some of the humans killing some Kallians. So, and then allegedly, in Tokyo, basically Kallians are I guess their energy things are similar to like cursed spirits. So like I there's like there's like a misunderstanding. So there's now tension between the Sumerians and the humans, and so basically the Akatsu siblings show cross around basically around they show Kyoto. They have to put a bunch of water barriers to deal with spirits. Official stories that they're basically contained around Tokyo. It's kind of why no one lives in Tokyo. Like it's called the Inhumane Makio. And then yeah, so basically they sent something. So like and then basically so what to confuse? So basically, Kallians are physical. They have physical forms. Well, cursed spirits do not. So basically, so Kallians are about as close to a cursed spirit as like a regular creature can get. So I guess that's why some Sumerians are thinking that cursed spirits are Kallians. And so yeah, so what else is going on? Yeah, so basically you see like where the Sumerians and the humans are about to fight. And basically this guy's told that hey, that the Sumerians were not told everything about cursed spirits, so they were withholding information about Jujutsu, and basically now it's come to bite them. But so basically they're partly at fault there, and basically everyone some, and then basically you have where there's a bunch of missing. So basically trying to figure out if it's Italians or cursed spirits. So the Sumerians think it's Italians. So basically you have the leaders are apologizing for the Sumerians, and humans are apologizing to each other. Basically, it's like, hey, let's calm down. Let's get everyone calm down to prevent a conflict. And then the Akatsu say by the cross, and then cross is shot by the by one of the basically by by the humans with it. Like it was like his CEO's like, dude, what the heck? Why'd you shoot him? And the guy's like, hey, reach for his weapon. And so Osaki wants to kill that human, but Jabaloma says, hey, to basically tell him to calm down. Then Dobra comes in. So yeah. So Cross is recovering, and he's still alive, but he's recovering. So basically, I'm sorry for what. So and then yeah, so basically then Usumi is like, there's got so one of the guys Usumi's like, he tried to use curse speech, but he got hit with a strong curse, and basically he's wrecked. And so basically Dabra is just that powerful. And so now what has to happen is like what's about to happen. So So the guy who attacks, who shot Cross is basically like like you see how he's able to how he gets defeated by Dabra. So like he's able to like resist the cursed speech. Like he is insane. Like they're showing how powerful Dabra is. And then and basically Dabra says if Cross dies, you know he'll take the lives of basically exchange the lives of his Usumi's subordinates. Take Cross's life. So Usumi says for ask for mercy, says just take his life instead. Dabra then leaves, and then yeah, so basically the Sumerians asked for no further extermination of cursed spirits, and then basically they're like, well, they're just gonna leak out of Tokyo, and so they're trying to figure out what to do because basically, yeah, so they're trying to figure out what happened. Like Cross must have been hit in a vital organ. That must have why he was incapacitated. And then there's concern if they say injure them, but then having injured, if they say them, it's possible some may think that they stage it so that they would forget the Sumerians would forget about the cursed spirits issue, and so they're trying to figure out how long to wait to before they start exercising it, which is like a month. And so after a month, they start exercising spirits, and so basically, try to figure out how to do the purification rituals. And then, so there's the whole deal. So basically, they're trying, since cursed spirits are still being killed, they're trying to figure out what to do. So, basically, the idea is they want to get Yuji Itadori to fight Dabra since he'd be the one with the best chance. Now, Kugisaki says, from so Kugisaki, who's like a character from the Nobara, so the one who she lost her eye. Everyone, a lot of people thought she may have been dead, but no, she's still alive. She was still alive because she was absent for a while in the original Jujutsu Kaisen manga. So she's some reason still alive. So basically, the last time she saw Yuji was at Hana's funeral. Basically, he didn't want to go to any more funerals. And then, yeah, so apparently Yuji can't age for some reason. So I guess something happened that caused him to can't age. I don't know something to do with his lineage because he's like, I think it was like his father was like a reincarnation of Sukuna's brother, which is why Yuji was able to control that power for a little bit. And then, basically, yeah. So turns out, so Dabra requests a duel to determine, you know, basically, to determine like what happens to Tokyo, obviously the cursed spirits. So Yuka, so it's basically decides to be volunteers to be the representative for Earth. So I guess ideally Yuji would be the option, but I guess they're not able to do that. So then everyone starts preparing for Yuka to fight, and then yeah, so basically. So Maru's trying to deal with what's going on, and so yeah, so you have like Maru and Tsurugi. They talk. Tsurugi wants the duel to end. Basically, he says it's probably better for just the Sumerians to just leave. And they basically, Maru says they can't since Vermilion's found out about Callians. Maru says that basically Yuka should just forfeit. And that basically Suga says he wants Yuka to live the rest of her life. She only has 3 months. He wants her to live the rest of that time. And then basically, and basically, he Maru says they don't know if they'll be able to find another plant where they could potentially live. And so looks like you have Tsurugi and Maru starting to duel. Like they're about to fight each other. So now they're setting up a big fight. So that should be interesting. So it looks like we'll have a preview fight before the big duel between Yuka and and Dabura, assuming that still goes on. So yeah, I like these chapters. Obviously, they're setting up the big conflict because you knew there was going to be tension, potentially for big conflict between the Sumerians and the humans. Like that was so yeah, I really like these chapters. Looking forward to the next one. Spy Family chapters 125 through 126. So in these chapters, Anya and her classmates chase the teacher that Anya had read like whose mind Anya read, learning that he had involved the framing of Henderson. And so basically, so Anya said she was going, but Becky grabbed her, so they were going to go to the retirement party. Anya says but says she saw the guy who did it. So basically, they decide to her class agree to go with her to you know and Billy compares it. When they stuck to that old schoolhouse, they found a pile of papers that were near the doors, and basically, apparently, it's the same type of paper as the flyers that were basically accusing Henderson. So they believe that they could find clues there. And then you have Miss Tony Triss, I guess, seeing them going there. So then you have the students get inside that old schoolhouse. They have their nets, whatever. So they go inside, start trying to If I was going to say, you see all these other teachers, employees, like trying to stop them, trying to catch them. They were able to slip past, and so yeah. So you have all these like faculty members. And so you have Billy fighting like the rugby club advisor, and it's like, what the frick? I mean, Billy's big, but it's like, why is he almost how? It's like, how old is this kid? And so you see all teachers trying to stop him. So it's like they're just trying to make it past. And it's there's Rev C Nart. So you have Damien's lackeys, two lackeys. They're like employment for employee formation E. Like it's just like I think they're referencing Naruto like with the Ino Shikacho formations. Yeah, you and email like they're basically just they're knocked out. They just grab this other teacher's legs. It's like and then you have a guy wearing like some gas mask or whatever. He like does some like something that is an aroma like some I don't know some like potion or perfume where the frick it is. Like I don't know. And basically, so this one kid has garlic with them for some reason, so garlic's able to wake them up. So you have, Anya, Becky, and Damien. They make it. They see this other teacher. They see like it's like for like some hood thing. So while it's going on, you have Lo- Lloyd and Frankie are investigating it, and Frankie learns that he heard of a new forger, called Silver Halid. So maybe that could be like a you know potential like suspect in what's going on. So Lloyd's trying to investigate. So then Martha's driving Henderson, and to the Ministry of Education, and and so the teach no they back to like the whoever's in the hood chasing Becky, Damien, and Anya. I guess it's some teacher, so one of the dorm advisors, and then basically she had done a lot of laundry, so she learned to manipulate sheets and rope. So basically, like the puppet masters in Naruto. I'm like this. They're just doing a bunch of Naruto references. Like I found it freaking funny. And then you have Desmond style roll and sweep. I'm like, really, Desmond style? You're really trying to do Naruto reference here. But I mean, when you had like the dodgeball episode from the anime that had all that filler that was done just to reference like Hunter x Hunter, Dragon Ball, and Naruto, I laughed with that bit was fun. So all the Naruto references, I laughed so hard at these. So then you have this other teacher who you see a bag with money with cash in it, and so it's like 60,000 a down payment, 60,000 dalks. Basically, someone's paying him to get his son into Eden, and basically with the rowing team, basically like I guess the kid's gonna be on the rowing team to get the kid in. So and the guy's like, my son's never been on a boat. And the teacher's like, oh, it don't matter. So they just care about money. You just give money, you're good. Which, yeah. And then Damien, Becky, and Anya over here that what the people in there are talking about is basically with Henderson gone, they'll replace him on basically the admissions committee, which Henderson's a part of. They plan to replace it with someone on their side. And basically, the head teacher's name involved with this scheme is Mr. Swan. The plan is for them to sell admissions to Eden, which yeah. Basically, Swan's father was a dean at the school. Basically, how he was able to get into Henderson's safe was using his father's key. He also has security guard on his side, and apparently the safes have not been upgraded since Swan's father was dean, so it's been a while. And so yeah, and then yeah, so basically, and they try to throw away the fake newspapers, so they deal with it. So with Becky, Damien, like they understand what's going on. Anya does not because she's stupid. So Damien and Becky was like, "What?" Basically, it's like you got rid of Henderson so you can make money off of admissions. And then basically they say they're gonna tell them anything. So they're trying. Swan tries to like cover his own and say, "Oh no, Henderson actually did do all this stuff." Yeah. So Anya reads his mind, learn that he is lying, and that he reads her she reads his mind to find a document with the evidence against him, and then basically since it's so Swan then offers that if those three keep it quiet, that he'll give them all the Stellas they want so that they can be Imperial Scholars. Becky and Damien are like, no, they want to earn Stellas the right way. So and Anya she considers the offer because of her Twilight's mission. And Becky's like, "Oh no, we gotta get her out of here. We gotta get Anya out of here," so she doesn't agree. So they just grab Anya and take her. Damien and Becky grab Anya and take her out of there. So basically, Becky, Damien, Anya are surrounded by Swan and his goons, and then you have they're knocked out, and you see Miss Tony Slag arrive. So Miss Tony Tris, like Lady Tony, and basically, so Damien's concerned that she's part of it whole scheme, and then Slag is like, no. Basically, she's it's her duty to demonstrate consequences of misbehavior, as she puts it. And so you see how she's just ready. Just she grabs all these Tony Tris bolts, and it's like you see like it's like some aura. It's like although like the Naruto ninja throwing shuriken, and she's about ready to start throw them, and everyone's afraid. I'm like, what the frick? This is just a Naruto arc. I'm like, I found it. This is great. This was a great freak. These were great chapters. Like they were good. Like they're like obviously it's serious. Henderson, well beloved teacher by everyone. Like even though he is very strict at times, he is well liked by his students. And you see effort they're putting in, and you see all the references to like Naruto, whatever. I'm like, Rick, yes. Like it's just funny. Like whenever they get around to animating this, like when they get around to animating this arc, these scenes are they're gonna look funny. Like it is gonna be hilarious how they do it. And I look forward to that. See, I really like these chapters. Looking forward to the next one. Tulsa King, season 3, episode 10, and full season. So this episode, obviously there's Thresher's, trying to, his election hopes have improved since the bombing, and Thresher asked Margaret to be a permanent part of his administration after the election, and so and Dunmire kidnaps Joanna and calls Dwight for a ransom. Dwight gets his crew. So Cole, who's done my son, offers to help. Basically, he's not happy with how far things have gotten. So Cole tells Dwight's crew where Dunmire's holding Joanne at, and so Joanne's rescued. Dunmire escapes, but Dwight catches him and burns him alive for the death of Montauk. And so Muso meets with Dwight, gives him the federal liquor license, and in exchange for info you know, that Dwight got from Deacon. Dwight doesn't tell Muso where Deacon's body's at, but tells Muso it ain't gonna be, no one's gonna find it. So yeah, so that was a good episode. Like obviously Dunmire's death, like dude, that is freaking insane. Like holy frick, like like things were definitely escalated. Like and Dunmire like he got to now he's dead. He's dead. Now Cole, you know, he's an ally. Now question becomes how's when we get to season 4, how does he like obviously, he Cole told them where Jeremiah Dunmire's at, so basically, so Cole is partially responsible for Dunmire for his father's death. So if we get a fourth season, how is that going to affect? Or is he going to make peace? Like is he like okay with his father being killed the way he was? And or like some interesting what happens with Cole in a potential season 4. And because I think season 4 was announced now. Taylor Sheridan's left Paramount, so who knows if season four, how far along season four was in development, and how long the spinoff Nola King was. So, like, that's going to be interesting how things go. As far as the season, I like this season. They're all trying to kill each other over liquor. Of like, because Dunmire wants to be basically, Dunmire basically wanted monopoly in liquor, and you know, White was in the way of that. Dunmire went against a mobster. You know, it's like one of the things. It's like with Thresher in season two. Thresher learned he cannot out mobster Dwight, and he backed off. And then he and Dwight basically kind of made peace. Dunmire did not back off, and he died as a result of that. You know, Thresher and Dunmire reach over their head. Thresher got out when he still had a chance. Dunmire did not, and now he's dead. Not mentioned. So I like this season. Basically interesting how they're trying to handle the whole informant thing with Dwight. Interesting how this continues in season four, assuming it's still on, because it was announced. Season four was announced before season three premiered, and so is Nola King, the spinoff with Samuel L. Jackson. So I don't with Taylor Sheridan gone. I don't know how those projects are affected, but I'm interested in how it does because a lot depends on how does Taylor Sheridan have complete control over the shows he made for Paramount, or does Paramount have the rights? Like, is it technically Paramount's property, or is it Sheridan's? And basically, Paramount's a distributor. Like, I don't know how the contract worked out, so that could affect things. Like, especially with Universal having Sheridan. Like, if Sheridan's shows go to Peacock, like if the contract is that where Sheridan has complete control over his shows, and then his shows therefore go to Peacock, that's going to be insane. Like, but I don't know how the rules worked out there, how the what what was signed, so that's going to be interesting. But yeah, I look forward to season four, if assuming we're still getting it. And if we're not, well, we've had a good show. You know, the show's been good. I hope we get a season four. One Punch Man season three, episodes 7 through 9. So in these episodes, so Saitama and Garu don't appear. So you have the Class S, the Class A heroes and all. You basically have your top group of heroes wrecking all these like members of the Monster Association. So you see, basically see Flash defeat these two villains from I guess the same village he's from, and then like yeah, Child Emperor is fights a Phoenix Man, and he like basically like there's a lot of focus on his gadgets. His gadgets are freaking cool, I will say. Like Child Emperor's gadgets, they're kind of cool. Like now, and basically, you have also basically he's trying to say with Nagma, and so I mean, things with the fights, it's the fights are generally not like they're not very visually like they don't have the kind of visuals that some other shonen like franchises have for anime. But I will say Child Emperor's gadgets were cool, but it's like okay, so but I mean Saitama's out because guess what? He ends everything in one punch. So it's like you know there's only so much you can do in the battle. So he's like okay, the battles are gonna be short. So hope, of course, odds. I mean, Saitama's gonna come in the end the fight in one punch. That is gonna happen. That's how basically every arc. That's how basically all his fights in. He ends on one punch, and that's the joke. And so yeah, so the animation is better than some of the previous season, and then some of the previous episodes before. Like it is, animation's better. It still needs work because it's like, come on, can we have better visuals for fights? Like, here's the thing, this is like one of the most popular anime around. Like, this is one more notable. Like, you would think it would have all hands on deck, have people dedicated to it, because it was very popular after season one. Season two not as popular due to the animation, but the animation season was better than season three's animation. That is just a fact. Here's like the writing's good. Is it like a 7 out of 10 show? It is. Overall, the show's 7 out of 10. But the animation does hold it back some. Now story is more important, which is why I say I like these episodes, but I do agree there are problems that need to be dealt with. So overall, I like these episodes. I'll watch the next one. I mean, I'm looking forward to it. I do want better animation though. Gonron Egg Chapters 5 through 7. So in these chapters, so Gonron and Oma, they're fighting. It's what like obviously they're trying to finish their fight, to free that village or that town, or whatever. So then, but then like the lady, like she offers to become an ally in Oma's quest to reclaim the throne. Basically, Garin asked Oma if Oma thinks they can trust her. Oma says no. Basically says kill her. And so basically Garin says, if basically if that agrees to give her heart and promise not hurt any more people, then she'll be spared. And that enemy's like, no. Like basically though, yeah. So then the human resistance appears and stabs, their enemy, and well, they kill her, so she's dead. So the village has been exposed, and they find somewhere to settle. And then basically there's the rebels mentioned the Human Liberation Army. Basically, they're a group that will do anything, even using the Drakark's power to defeat the Drakarks and basically reclaim the whole world for humanity. And so, if they learn about Oma and Gonron, they could be targeted by them. And yeah, so then the girl, like basically gets close to him. I guess they press cheeks, and Gonron's basically gets he's like what? Basically the girls like tease him, like like it's funny. So then like after that, and they find this other, like they find the Meatwoods Fortress to find where basically his sister, or Gonron's sister Iris, was taken to. Basically, so the Drukhard named Nagi uh, basically saw Iris and wanted her. So yeah, basically, so Iris is nowhere to be found. So probably dead. And then yeah, so then this the I guess one of the head Drakarks there appears, and then yeah, so basically you see these bugs, devil bugs coming out of this kid. It's messed up, like probably dead. And then, with the power of her insects, Oma recognizes the Dracarch as Bactol, who is like basically what his like Oma a vassal for for Oma's father, and basically was like a basically a very like basically like he was almost like very good friend of Oma's father, and basically they care and basically since Bactol was loyal to the king, his family, his children and grandchildren were killed by the new king. That basically he has to prove his loyalty to the new king. So and Bactol says he won't let that basically if he won't stop harming people, then almost says that they'll have he and Gonron have no choice but to fight to defeat Bactol. So then they start fighting, and they're trying to get Bactol to stop, but basically yeah. So it's really Bactol is three hearts, which you know makes him very powerful. And then basically they have to smash all three hearts. So in order to defeat him, so they attack him, but they're still like almost still trying to like talk to Bactol, like he wants him to stop fighting, and basically Bactol says, if he didn't belong to a new king whose name is Agito, basically if he then his family's massacre wouldn't have any meaning. He says he'll kill Oma to prove his loyalty to the new king, and then and basically so Gonrod's arm has disappeared, so basically Oma's possibly run out of life energy. So then a devil bug gets on Oma, but Gonrod grabs Oma, and then Oma tells Gonrod to leave since to get out of there since he's used too much power, and so basically Gonrod like Bactol taunts Gonrod, tells him that the hand Oma to him, and basically Gonrod refuses. And Bechtel asks if it's because like Omas is loyal or he's fine for me. Garma says because Oma's his friend and that the fight's not over. So basically, yeah. So you see a new energy coming out of like Gonrong and Oma. So that's saying, I guess, a big power up for them. Maybe a new transformation, or whatever. Who knows? But yeah, I'm interested in what this rest of this fight has to hold. I really like these chapters. You know, interesting. You have like one of a retainer of Oma's father being on the side of Agito. That's interesting. See how that goes. So yeah, I really like these chapters. Looking forward to the next one. Mayor Kingstown, season 4, episodes 5 through 7. So in these episodes, so Reggie Davis is about to testify. So Ian has this guy has Robert to intimidate him, but Robert shoots Reggie, shoots and kills him. So Ian and Robert dump the body in the lake. So obviously Mike and Warden Hobbs are still having their issues due to Merle Callahan being in the cell next to Kyle. Now, how Mike handles her refusal is when she refuses help is that basically Ian finds an illegal gun in Hobbs's car, but and basically gets to where Hobbs is in a legal issue, so basically that convinced her to help Mike, and she agrees to help, and then so basically there's the issue of where Kyle may have to make alliances with the Aryan Brotherhood to survive. And so yes, and then yeah, Bunny is dealing with a potential drug conflict, drug war with the cartel. So that's a whole bit. So then so basically, yeah, things are escalating. Like things are escalating like hard. So Bunny gets shot, which Frank Moses set up. So so Mike tries to get Moses arrested in exchange for Kyle's safety. Now Frank is almost assassinated, and that leads to possibly the major conspiracy involving Colombians and some people in the who work for the prison. So Kyle is attacked in Gem Pop, but he survives with help from the Aryan Brotherhood. And it's revealed that Lamar, who was Bunny's driver, betrayed Bunny and set him up to basically be attacked by the cartel. So yeah, so then after that, basically everything that's happened, you see a lot of escalation and stuff, you know. So Kyle's dealing with it, and so Callahan is put in Gem Pop. Now he breaks out of prison. He tries to get Kyle, but Kyle refuses to join him, and Callahan's pissed off. And so Mike visits Bunny, and it's revealed that he tells him that Moses organized the ambush that had Bunny injured. And Mike tells Bunny to act like he doesn't know what happened, so Mike could finally get Frank arrested in order to get a deal with Evelyn, with Assistant District Attorney Evelyn Pierce, and get trial out. So Robert is drunk due to basically depressed after recent episodes. Ian finds him and basically he opens driver's side window before and possibly staging a suicide or basically try to do carbon monoxide poisoning in order to, I guess, since Robert could be a potential loose end for him and Mike. And so cartel member named Cortez tried to get Hobbs to tell him basically who exposed the drug shipment. Hobbs says Torres did it. Mike finds the cartels, I guess, drugs. And then, basically, and that confirms that Hobbs is associated with the cartel. And so, yeah, so basically, so Frank Moses attacks the cartel shipment, in retaliation for them trying to kill him. And so basically now you have all the different factions in Kingstown are they're all ready to kill each other. So obviously everything's escalating, so we're about to see major open conflict between them. So this could be like a big fight coming up. So yeah, I really like these chapters or these episodes. We're looking forward to the next one. The Mage Next Door chapters 4 through 6. So these chapters, so Toya and Yobuko, they investigate the theft of a statue from the bronze statue art museum. Basically, there was a 3-point handstand statue. So basically, they believe it's a mage. So who did? So they investigate it. They head there, And then yeah, so basically it's revealed that Yobuko's 25, and Toya thought she was younger. Basically, it's like mentions that Yobuko's like a tenth of his age, so he's like 250. So they're walking around, and then you have these two people asking what they're doing there. One guy's basically holding a sword, someone's holding a briefcase, and then the person reveals that he's a mage. So they assume Toya and Yobiko are the statue thieves, and so basically it's revealed that these guys are part of the elite mage task force, Sujimura and Tatsu Urasa. Basically, they're cops that specialize in going after mages. And then, basically, you know, so so kind of like so that makes Toya Yobiko's suspects in the eyes of the task force. But so Toya explains that they were sent there by divine magus to hunt evil mages to arrest them. So then basically so you have like banter between Toya and Sujimura. Basically, Sujimura doesn't trust mages. I'll get to why in a little bit. And so yeah, so you see this mage like Sugata Karuizawa is one who stole the mage. So basically so the two duos like find the thief and go after they go after the thief and they defeat him. And so basically Sujimura, I guess they don't know what to do since they were helped out by mages. So Super says, well, he's off the clock, so basically says he's also basically he doesn't need to attack go after Toya. So hinting that they're going to interact later. So then later, Yobuko and Toya they're walking around. They find this cafe of people pretending to be mages. So it's like a maid cafe, but it's like a maid's cafe. So then they think it's act, but they learn it's just an act. And the thing is, the waitresses think that they're trying to be in all the act and possibly like work for competitors. And so they learn to try sell it. They try help, so they show off some of the magic they do and clean it. And they suggest delivery that they deliver some of their stuff like pancakes. So basically, it helps the place stay open because basically like the owner of that cafe was about to close it down. And Toya offers that his consultation office can help if they ever need anything. So then after that, basically they've caught a lot of bays. There's like some guy stealing veggies, someone stealing a bicycle, someone doing a dying dash. But yeah, but then apparently I guess due to not like the owner of the cafe, the Mage Cafe, whose name was Nagi. Basically, they've got a lot of cases and coupons. And so then they learn that there's a when they're and then basically there's a like coupon. So basically, Toyo looks like coupon, finds where it goes. Basically, it's to a bathhouse because Toyo's idea is that the Divine Magus told him once to like basically when in doubt, go take a bath. Apparently, that can help work things out. And so each goes. So you have the men's side, women's side, because you don't have a mixed bath side. Like that doesn't like generally you do split up in most anime series. Like you very rarely have mixed. So yeah, so So you have, Mini Magus and Yobiko going to the women's side. Toya goes into the men's side. He comes across, Sujimura and Urasa who are in there, and basically they're arguing. And then, basically since the two are off duty, they're not gonna hunt him. Toya tries to like chat, tries to make conversation. Sujimura says no. Basically, yeah. So, basically Sujimura says it's nothing personal. He just doesn't like mages. Basically, he explains the reason Sujimura hates mage because years ago his family was attacked by a mage. So like he has like a big grudge against him. So Toya's like he's not evil, but he understands why he has a problem with mages. But he agrees that they have. It's nice to have allies who are going capturing evil mages. And so then Sujiro mentions like there's a ranking system like the statue thief that they caught was a rank 5, so he's like weakest. So you have 1 to 5. 1's the strongest, 5's the weakest. And so basically, the mages that Sujimura and Urasa are going after are rank 3. They found one in Outlet Mall in Kansas City. He says that they're moving there, and he basically says he's just talking. He said he doesn't recommend he comes. Basically, he's doing officially not telling them any he should help, but he knows that his help, like Toya's help, could be useful. So there's a little bit where they compete over who can last the longest at the sauna, and that bit's funny. So once they get out, and yeah, so looks like they're about to head to the outlet mall, or who knows. But it's funny. So Yoko and Minimagus walk out on them. Basically, Art Toya and Sujimura like arguing. It's kind of funny. So I don't know if the outlet mall's gonna be next chapter, or they're just gonna ignore that, move on to something else. That could be who knows. But I like these chapters, like how they're so they establishes anti-magic cops basically. So that's interesting. We got some new characters, some humans that know about mages, so that could be an interesting way to figure out what's show more, build up this world. So yeah, I like these chapters. Looking forward to the next one. Landman season 2, episodes 2 through 4. So the 6 wells that Cooper's been invested in, they're all successful. So he makes money. Now Ariana is concerned about the wealth and basically losing someone else's job, so she kicks Cooper out. And so it's revealed that so Tommy learns that Sunriser, the company that funded Cooper's drills, is connected to the Galeno cartel. And so, and then Tommy travels to La Mesa to arrange the funeral for his mother, and he talks to Cooper about his parents' drug issues, something, and basically and he talks with Cooper about like basically how his parents there's some abuse issues, some drug issues. So he basically was an absent father because he thought that would break the cycle. Cooper tells Tommy that he cares for him regardless. And so Angela and Ansley get into like an altercation with with the Texas Health and Human Services Commission due to basically they were giving alcohol to some of the seniors. They weren't happy with and so the THHSC was, and basically they grabbed, you know, and basically, like Angela to make her sit down, but Angela like kicked the guy, and basically, they're released on terms of self defense. Basically Tommy tells the Sheriff Joburg, he's like, release my effing daughter and my effing wife. Now, Imtex is sued by insurance company due to allegedly misappropriating $420 million settlement. after a rig was damaged in a hurricane in Louisiana. Now, Rebecca, who's like an in-house counsel now, negotiates for a new rig to rebuild, and she convinces the insurers to withdraw a damage claim since they breached the contract by paying a lump sum, which invalidates the damage clause. And so Cammy finds more evidence of financial impropriety when she goes through Monty's office looking at a lot of financial information. And then, there's an abandoned pump jack that is leaking hydrogen sulfide, and several hunters are killed. Two of Dale and Boss's colleagues are hospitalized. So Ariana starts bartending at the Patch Cafe. Tommy confronts Galeno, and basically who publicly is a financial investor, basically to front. And basically he remarks that he says that Galeno's idea was to get revenge on Tommy by having Cooper indebted him basically once basically if all six wells failed to get oil that could indebted him, that would be Galeno's revenge on Tommy. Galeno says that he saved Tommy's life, and so he says that basically he says Tommy and he says that they should become business partners. Tommy basically says no. And so Cammy, Rebecca, and Nate learn that MTech's maxed out lines of credit with a bunch of banks. Basically, they can't trace revenue that was paid to a C corp holding company. Yeah, basically, so in order to like pay off like the debts or whatever, and they're concerned about IRS audit. So Tommy, Cammy they find out Monty's lawyer Alan Thomas at a club that Galeno's also attends. So Thomas sets up a meeting, to clarify basically how things work out legally. And Angela accidentally gets them all to drink with Galeno's wife, Bella. So Galeno tells Cammy that Imtech's made the investor, and that he is one. So Angela and Tommy agree to basically get officially remarried instead of just acting like they're married. And so then Cammy's obviously still dealing with Bonnie's death, which makes sense. It's her husband. He's dead. Obviously she would react. Very sad to see a picture of him. So after that, you have Tommy's the funeral. Tommy's mother is a big focus of episode 4. So and basically, Tommy's mother died. Basically, they do all the drug issues so. There's a lot of tension between Tommy's father, TL, and Tommy. And then, basically, and so what happened? So there was this SIDS death of, TL and Dottie's infant daughter. And that, I guess, after that death contributed a lot of the addiction problems. Basically, one time, like, when Tommy said when he was 14, he found his mother unconscious in a bathtub from like a drug addiction, and basically he was on phone being guided how to do CPR, and then she recovered, kicked him in the face, and made another drink, and basically he kind of like left, and so and then Ariana and Cooper it goes with the Cooper to the funeral, and she understands more why Cooper's the way he is, and like they reconcile about a lot of their issues, and then Cammy meets with you know Galeno in order to get a loan for offshore drilling project for Intex, but Galeno says he'll only negotiate with Tommy, since he says he views Cammy as a hawk, while he view, he views the Cammy not like so he views himself as a snake and he views Tommy as a hawk. Since Cammy is like a little inexperienced, doesn't have the kind of experience, that in this field, since she was an owner, she wasn't running things. Like Monty was the one really involved. So then Rebecca, the lawyer, um, there's like there was a crash at oil well that involved like basically an MTEX driver died and basically someone else dead. So she flies on a company plane and she gets drunk. She's scared of flying, so she gets drunk and she has a one night stand with the oil man named Charlie. And then, Jarrell, who's one of the guys who was exposed to that, hydrogens, like hydrosulfuric gas, like basically that gas, H2S gas, like wakes up in the hospital, and he's gone blind, at least temporarily. We don't know if it's permanent. So, you know, basically he's concerned because he has to take care of his family. And then you have, Angela wants, TL to live with, basically the Norses to allow TL and Tommy to reconcile and like work out some issues. Like, so yeah, so obviously there's a lot of family issues there. But yeah, these are great episodes. Like, dude, like Billy Bob Thornton does some great performances. Sam Elliott, like, dude, these are great episodes. Like, Landman is on a tear right now. So yeah, these were great episodes. Looking forward to the next one. And that's it. Did y'all like the stuff I reviewed? And if you have your own opinions about all that, put all that in the comments. Thank you for watching, and like, subscribe, and all that. And look forward to the next video.